Hi, welcome back to Towing Mastery. I'm pretty sure you're wondering which truck and which engine is going to be best for me, whether it be gas or diesel. By the end of this episode, you will understand in more in depth and more knowledgeable to know what is going to be best for you. The first step is try to figure out how much money you can be able to end up spending. In other words, what is your budget? Are you willing to pay upwards of anywhere between $60,000 for a brand new gas engine to upwards of $100,000 or more for an actual diesel engine? The funny thing is that diesel engines are always going to be costing more than actual gas engines. It's because of the way the nature they are, the maintenance cost. There's a lot of factors that go into this. But I will give you some recommendations that I believe that would be able to end up helping you out. But let's dive right into it and discuss more about what the difference is between the two. So to start off, let's start off with a gas engine. What is a gas engine? Well, it basically has the same engine as essentially it takes the same fuel as your car does. Basically, it uses a spark plug to ignite the fuel and air mixture in order to be able to create the combustion. It is a naturally aspirated engine. In other words, it pulls vacuums, it creates a vacuum. There's a lot more technical stuff that goes into it and whatnot. So it's a lot more technical and everything else like that. But essentially, it uses a spark plug to ignite, and that's how it creates the combustion. That's why it's referred to a gas engine, because it takes gasoline, like it takes ethanol, it takes just different things. Now let's move on to the diesel side of things. What is a diesel engine? Well, it's a engine that requires a different type of fuel to be able to ignite, and that fuel needs to be a bit more atomized. And it does not have a spark plug into it, so I'm going to tell you that a diesel engine has a spark plug. They are 100% wrong. Your smaller diesel engines will have what we call is a glow plug. In other words, it heats up the engine in order to be able to create a combustion, because diesel engine, it uses heat to be able to ignite the fuel. So in other words, when the air gets sucked in, the piston goes up, then it ignites the fuel in there. Instead of a spark plug having electricity to go in to be able to ignite it, it actually injects the diesel fuel right at the last second to be able to ignite that diesel engine, because it creates heat and hence it creates the combustion, and away it goes. So diesel engines do have a higher compression rate than a gas engine, and they do produce more horsepower and torque out of them. Not only that, but in some cases, if you actually set up your diesel engine just right, you can actually improve and actually get better fuel efficiency than you can out of a gas engine. It's just how diesel engines are. The more horsepower and torque, and if you keep your foot out of the throttle, you can actually improve better performance and better fuel efficiency out of them. They're just strange little creatures. So, you're asking yourself, well, between the two, which one is best? Well, it depends. Do you want to spend more money in maintenance if you're going to be, or in fuel if you want to be spending more money in costly repairs, or do you want to save on money? The fact is that a gas engine and diesel engine, when it comes to today's technology and stuff like that, they both generally can tow about almost the same. Diesel engines, on the other hand, can actually end up pulling more weight, and they're actually rated for a little bit more than an actual gas engine. But generally, they both, technically in today's day and age, generally pull about the same. And when it comes to just running around town, pulling a camping trailer, some boats, they're pretty well comparable to what they can actually end up towing. So, the best way I can be able to describe this is, how often are you going to be towing with your truck? So, the general thumb is, if you don't want to be spending a lot of money, and if you're And if you don't have a lot of money, then your gas engine, then you going out to be buying a gas engine is actually going to be more comparable for you than an over a diesel because it's not going to be as expensive. But on the other hand, if you're going to be doing like a lot of towing, a lot of driving, you're going to plan on keeping the truck for the next 30 years, a diesel engine is actually the better route to go because in the long run, that diesel engine is going to actually last longer overall compared to a gas engine. It's going to go longer. They're designed to basically to be driven and to be basically towing. And the reason why I know this is because I have worked in the maintenance field. I have worked on diesel engines for a few years. I drive them professionally, and I know diesel engines and gas engines pretty well. So I've been doing it for over 20 some odd years. So yeah, so I kind of know a thing or two. So I mean, I'm sure there's going to probably be some haters in there that's going to be like, oh no, but trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I actually have experience. So, but the thing is also when it comes to it is what size of load are you going to do? Are you going to pull something that's 10,000 pounds or something that's 30,000 pounds? Something that's going to be closer to 30,000 pounds, that's where you want that diesel engine. Something that's closer to the 10,000 pounds, you're just rather prefer to be better off with an actual gas engine versus a diesel because you're actually doing that engine a disservice in that regards. So there's not much to it to terms. It just all depends upon to what your actual budget is and how much money are you willing to spend on your truck. Now you can actually end up purchasing a way older diesel engine and truck and be just fine because they actually hold their own. You can find one that's pretty well about $10,000 to $15,000 for upwards of like 200,000-300,000 miles, and it'd still be a good running motor. I've seen them go way above over 500,000 miles in some of these engines to almost 1 million, and they're still keep on going. So, that's another route you could possibly end up going, depending on your budget. Again, it comes down to what you're doing. So basically, the general rule of thumb is if you're still unsure of everything else, is go and find out what type of stuff you're going to be pulling on an average. Year, day, whatever you're doing right now. Just go and pick out the trailer if you're planning on going camping. Go pick out the camping trailer or whatever trailer you're going to do first before deciding on to buy the truck. That is the first thing you need to do, is try to go figure out what you're going to be doing, what you're going to be towing, and how often you're going to be doing it. That will determine on what type of truck you're going to be getting. Now, once you got that determined, let's say you're going to be buying a boat and a camping trailer. Okay, and you're going to be pulling a camping trailer maybe a couple hundred miles away, go park it up there for summer, and then end up taking your boat out every weekend or every other weekend. Maybe your trailer weighs about, like 8,000 pounds, maybe sleep 6, maybe good 26-foot trailer. And then you got maybe a 6,000 pound boat, decent size, and you go out, every other weekend. Well, both of those weights are actually half-ton towable. You really don't need an actual diesel engine to be able to do that. You can actually end up getting a nice, cheap, almost a brand new half-ton truck for a fairly decent price. And that truck can actually do what you need it to do. Pull the trailer once, twice a year, good to go, and then just go out boating every weekend or every other week. And that truck's going to do just fine. It's going to hold up its own, keep it for a few years, 5 years or so, maybe rack up to about 100,000 miles or so, and then trade it in, get something else. And you'd have no issues and no problems whatsoever in doing that. A half-ton truck, something in that scenario, would be the perfect and ideal truck for you. If you're not going to be doing those things other than those two, that is the perfect truck in that scenario. Now let's go and do another scenario. Now let's say you're going to be picking up a fifth wheel. It's about 13,000 pounds, 14,000 pounds. It's a 40-foot fifth wheel. It's a toy hauler. and you're going to be pulling it like 6 times a year, going out to the sand dunes or some other way, going 3 states over, taking your side by side with you or whatever it is, maybe come back home, maybe doing some renovation around the home, maybe go pick up some classical cars. In that type of scenario, with that amount of driving, that amount of towing, I would recommend getting an actual diesel engine. Any truck, any year would basically, in that scenario, would actually work out just fine. Again, it depends upon to what your budget is, how much you're driving, where you're going, and what you're doing. Now, my recommendation is the longer the distance, the farther you drive, the more likely I'd lean more towards an actual diesel engine. I would say anything basically over 500 miles, towing it more than 3 times a year, I would recommend getting a diesel engine. But if you're going to be towing under that, couple times of things, depending on what you're doing, I'd recommend going more along the lines of an actual gas engine, because there's no need to really go able to end up buying a very expensive truck, and that you're just basically driving it to and from work and also towing a trailer 200 miles twice a year. That is not the way to go. You're just wasting money and everything else like that. It's just too costly to be able to do that. I tend to buy my trucks and what I do on what is my lifestyle and what I'm doing at that moment. I have owned a 1-ton diesel truck. I have owned a 3/4-ton diesel truck. I've even ended up owning a gas engine 1978 pickup truck that was a gas engine gas guzzler from heck, but I did have owned one. I even ended up owning a 1981 3/4-ton Ram truck. Good truck. I miss that truck. Don't be wrong. I really do miss it. I even ended up owning a 1/2-ton Ram. So I always base off what I'm doing, what I'm towing, and what is going on in my lifetime, depending on what type of truck, what's in my budget, and my finances. As of now, I do not own a truck because there is no need for me to be able to own one at this point in time. Everything that I can do basically can be done with the vehicles that I have. And if I need to do anything else, I can always go out and rent one or borrow a truck. That has been like once every like once a year. So like I said, I really don't need a truck at this time, at this point in time. If anything changes, then I will actually go out and purchase the truck that is going to be within my budget and with what I am doing, and what my lifestyle is. So essentially, hopefully this video does help you out in trying to decide on which is better, diesel versus gas. So again, it depends upon your budget, what you want, and what you're doing with it. So, if I miss anything, if I wasn't clear enough, please mention it in the comments below. I would love to be able to hear from you guys, to be able to know how I'm doing with these new videos in this new channel. If I'm not clear about anything, please reach out to me and I will try to get back to you and try to be as clear as I can. So, alright, stay tuned for the next one.